What's going on, everybody? Howard Bender here of Fantasy Alarm. With me, of course, today, as you can see, Adam Ronis. And we're here to talk a little NFL free agency. The hammer was dropped heavily last week with a number of free agent moves. And, well, Adam and I thought it would be a good opportune time for him and I to just kind of sit here and go back and forth, talk about some of the moves, what we like, what we don't. And see where you guys are at with that as well. So, Adam, how are you? First of all, how are you doing today? Are you coronavirus free right now?
As far as I know, I haven't been tested yet. I haven't had a fever that I know of. Have been feeling a little ill the last day or so, but I don't think it's corona related. I think it's just a stomach ache, headache type thing. Maybe allergies, but let's hope that it's not, because I am in the hotbed area of it. I see you moving away. It's not going to help. You're screwed.
I'm trying to socially distance myself.
We're more than 6 feet. We're close. Closer than 6 feet, man.
Right.
According to the camera.
Let me get to the microphone real close in here.
There you go. Let me breathe on you.
So gross. That's not how we really wanted to start off. But let's talk a little NFL free agency here. A lot of movement, a lot of things going on. Franchise tags, transition tags, those also being used. So I figured let's just kind of go position by position. Let's hit some of the top ones, some of the important ones that we need to deal with. Because I'm curious as to your thoughts. Might as well just rip the Band-Aid off right now and get to the Tom Brady conversation, because whatever. I mean, did you see the odds for Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl, like, dropped down to plus 700 for Tampa Bay when Tom Brady joined the team? Like, it's ridiculous, the overreaction that people are having to Brady joining the Bucks. But I mean, let's get your thoughts here. It's obviously a positive. I don't even know. Is it a positive move for Tampa?
Yeah, I think it is. I actually think Tampa was really not that bad of a team last year. Obviously, the interceptions of Jameis Winston really hurt them, but their defense actually started to play better in the second half, and they do have some weapons. And, those turnovers just crush you in the NFL, and that's really what happened with Tampa Bay. And with Tom Brady coming in, you're just not going to see the ball turned over as much. He's not a guy that's going to force the issue. So I think actually of all the landing spots for him, this was a good spot. Last year with New England, he didn't have the weapons. They didn't have enough. I mean, it was Julian Edelman. They never replaced Rob Gronkowski. They had so many opportunities to draft a tight end. They never did. Josh Gordon was not the same player that he was years ago. Antonio Brown actually clicked with Tom Brady in the one game that he played. I mean, that looked like it was going to be a really good connection, and you could see why Brady wanted Antonio Brown there. But they just lacked the weapons. Yeah, Brady is older, but now you put him in this situation with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, O.J. Howard possibly, Cameron Brate. We'll see what they do at running back. But, I mean, there are weapons here for Brady to have success. Now, I still don't think he's a QB1. I think he's a very high QB2. But I think he could put up good numbers in this offense.
I mean, I kind of like, I get what you're saying as far as the interceptions go and the turnovers go, but I mean, are we trading arm strength for the turnovers? Because, one of the things that everybody notes is that Tom Brady's never thrown to a receiver like Mike Evans before. He's actually never thrown to a receiver. I guess Randy Moss was the tallest who he threw to. But on top of that, then also, he just, every time he threw the ball last year, grabbing the elbow, wincing in pain, the arm strength certainly isn't there. So, I mean, that's the give and take, I think, for Tampa Bay, which is why I'm just not so sure that this was like the greatest thing. Because, I mean, Bruce Arians loves that 7-step drop and just heave it downfield.
Yeah, well, he's going to cater everything towards Tom Brady. It's going to happen. When you bring Brady in, you're going to have to cede a lot of what you do and make sure that he's happy. Otherwise, you don't make a move like this. So I don't think the arm strength obviously is not what it was, but I think he could still make some throws. I was watching, I think Darren Orlovsky break him down on ESPN, and there were still some throws that he made that were pretty good. I just don't think he had the personnel last year at all. But, get the ball in the hands of Godwin. And we know Brady loves the slot receiver, and you got Godwin there. Now, you could say Brady loves the tight end. He didn't have a tight end last year. O.J. Howard obviously burned a lot of people last year. We know how talented he is. And it's all going to come down to how he performs on the field, because he did make a lot of mistakes last year, and Bruce Arians made note of that. But, especially if they, add another wide receiver, I think there's weapons here. Again, I'm not getting excited. I'm not putting Brady in the top 8 quarterbacks. We see so many quarterbacks that are going to be QB1s. They run. Brady doesn't. So that's why, for me, he's more of a high QB2, not someone that I'm looking to target. Because, what is he going to get? I think he can get 28 to 30 touchdowns and like 4,300 yards.
Yeah, I think I moved him up to like 12 in my way too early rankings. I didn't want to get too bullish on him. But, I mean, like I was saying before here, to win the NFC conference, Tampa Bay went from opening at plus 2,200 to plus 700. To win the Super Bowl, they started off at plus 5,000, and now they're at plus 1,200 over at Bovada. So a lot of people are expecting huge things over there. I'm with you, though. I'm tempering my enthusiasm very much so. Godwin or Evans for you?
Godwin.
Me too. Does Brady take his number?
Probably, man. Hopefully Godwin gets something good for it, but I would think so. I mean, he's got the TB12, right? Doesn't he have to have the number, like, for marketing and everything?
Hey, man, Chris Godwin's got all his social media tied up to the number 12.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what Godwin bargains for, man. Maybe he gets a nice little payday out of it.
Maybe. All right. Other big quarterback movement here. Colts picking up Phillip Rivers. 1 year, $25 million. Rivers was another guy who you saw last year, just did not look the same. I still think he's got the arm strength. I think it's, the 72 kids at home that's really kind of wearing him down more than anything. But does this make you more bullish on the Colts as an offense overall?
I think it helps him a little bit. Jacoby Brissett started off well, and then he had the knee injury. He was wearing that brace. I'm sure that affected him. And, the Colts didn't want Brissett to be the starting quarterback. They just got hit with that Andrew Luck news right before the start of the season, and they kind of had no choice. So I don't think they ever thought Brissett was probably the answer. So they take a shot here on Rivers. So I think it helps some of the skill position players. Rivers I've always been a big fan of. Like you said, he's got 77 kids at home. I don't know. That can't be a good thing.
See, it already went up. He already got 3 more kids since
he did during this quarantine, man. He just had 3 kids, or they're going to pop out soon. But, yeah, I think, but for fantasy purposes, he's just not appealing because he doesn't do anything that kind of separates him from those bottom quarterbacks. He's not going to run it all. He's still probably going to throw interceptions. But I think it does help the skill position players a little bit on the Colts.
Yeah, I think T.Y. Hilton. I mean, again, it's not a huge bump for him, but, a bump nonetheless. As far as other guys who moved around, Teddy Bridgewater was the other, I guess, marquee signing. I mean, can we call that a marquee signing? Teddy Bridgewater with the Panthers, 3 years, $60 million, and then they turn around and they go out and they boost their wide receiving core to help them along now. I'm curious as to your thoughts here as far as Carolina's offense, because it's all supposed to go through McCaffrey, but now when you why am I blanking on who they just signed? Who's the wide receiver they just
Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, that's right. I'm blocking it out as a Jets fan.
Yeah, I know. You want to forget him already because of the nasty things he said to the cop, right?
I mean, it was about the cop's mom. It wasn't even about the cop. It was about the cop's mom. Like, right. Really? You're going to do what in your cop's mom's face? What? Come on. But I mean, like, so they bring in Bridgewater, who, I mean, I'm not going to say he's this phenomenal passer, but I mean, he's okay. I mean, is he a huge upgrade from Cam Newton? I can't really say he is, but they add Robbie Anderson. You still have DJ Moore. You've got Curtis Samuel. Ian Thomas is trying to take that next step as a tight end. But, McCaffrey, it runs through McCaffrey over and over again, unless you think maybe they limit McCaffrey's touches a little bit.
I don't think so, but it's going to be interesting. Here's the thing. I don't really love Bridgewater. He's a guy that doesn't have great arm strength, and he doesn't take shots downfield. I mean, he had weapons with the Saints, and didn't put up big numbers. Now, they didn't really need him to. He kind of managed the offense more, and they were playing from ahead, and the Saints had a good defense. maybe the situation changes in Carolina. But I'm very interested to see what they do with this offense with Joe Brady coming over and what he did in LSU. I mean, that was a potent offense. Is he going to try to put those concepts here? Because that would be interesting. Because there are weapons on this offense. I mean, we know the receivers are good, but Bridgewater is just not a guy that takes shots downfield. So I just don't see him putting up big fantasy numbers on this team.
No, I view him as like a QB that you would have if you were in a super flex league and you wanted to have a second QB who seems like he could be stable. He'll get some points on the screen passes to McCaffrey, kind of thing. Dak Prescott got the franchise tag. Tannehill gets his 4-year deal with the Titans. And then it's Breeze gets his 2-year deal with the Saints. And then it's a bunch of backups now. Mariota to the Raiders, Case Keenum to the Browns. That actually kind of intrigues me a little bit because Case Keenum to the Browns, I don't know. What do you think of Baker Mayfield? There's some people, I feel like people either love him or they hate him.
I guess I'm in the middle then. I can't be as bad as last year. I mean, that was a disastrous season. I think coaching was a big problem. I mean, you could see he had no time to throw, and they're having him drop back. Like, you got to get rid of the ball quick. Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. So I don't think it can be as bad as last year. So I'm kind of in the middle on Mayfield. I think he will be better this year. I mean, they have weapons on this team. I just think they have to come up with a better game plan. And you could see it. I think there was too much pressure on them. I was amazed at how people were anointing them division champs immediately. I'm like, are you guys serious? Like, the Browns have never done anything. Now we have all these expectations on them, and you guys think they're just going to go in there and win 11 games? I remember going over the schedule with someone, and they were like giving them wins left and right. I'm like, it's not that easy, man. You can't just do things on paper. Like, this team has to actually go out there and perform first. And yeah, we saw them towards the end of 2 years ago have a nice run, and everyone thought, oh, now they bring in Beckham. Now it's going to be great. We know it doesn't work like that, and we see receivers going to new teams. It takes some time for them to adjust. So I just think the expectations were so high, and I think they kind of crumbled under that pressure.
Yeah, I definitely think they crumbled under that pressure because, I mean, but again, just adding Odell Beckham to the mix wasn't the answer. I mean, you still had issues. Mayfield's accuracy, I think, is definitely still in question. There's a reason that Ryan Tannehill had no problem gelling with a guy like Jarvis Landry, yet Baker Mayfield can't seem to hit the broadside of a friggin' barn when it comes to hitting Landry on a regular basis. So Case Keenum comes in here. Does that, like, let's say the Browns are, they're roughed up. They go 1-4 just to open the season, and Baker doesn't look good. Does the team make a move? Do they say we've got so much freaking talent here that, I mean, we got to put Baker on the bench because he's a problem now and get Case Keenum in there?
I would be shocked if that happened, but you never know. I mean, it depends how poorly he's playing. I mean, if he's turning it over left and right, maybe it's a possibility. I mean, maybe they look and say, you know what, Tennessee did it last year, and it worked for them. Ryan Tannehill comes in, they make the playoffs. And I give the Titans a lot of credit. A lot of teams would not have made that move. They would have said, well, you know what, Mariota, we drafted him, let's stick it out. That was a bold move for them to make, and it clearly worked out, obviously, and changed the complexion of their season. A lot of teams don't have the balls to do it.
That is true. They don't. Do the Browns? Well, we'll see. Browns are going to brown no matter what. Two guys sitting on the open market right now in Jameis Winston and Cam Newton. I went team by team the other day. I can't find a single legit landing spot for either of them, with the exception of the Chargers. Like, I can't see, like, Tyrod Taylor. It's just not Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. The Chargers seem like the one team that maybe takes a shot because, yeah, they said that they're going into the season with Taylor, but they didn't know Cam would be on the open market. At that time, he was going to have to be a trade, and obviously that's not the case anymore with Carolina releasing him. So I could see that, either of those guys going in there, especially Cam, because Cam, he wants to go somewhere where he could start. He doesn't think of himself as a backup. He wants to start, So obviously if he went over to the Chargers, I think he would. And there's weapons there, man. Like, I've been waiting for this Mike Williams breakout, and it's been kind of close. and he's teased us. But man, Cam throwing it up. We've seen what he's done with those big receivers. If he's healthy, that would be nice. So I kind of would like to see him go to the Chargers. I want to see him get an opportunity to start.
I would like to see him get an opportunity to start as well. I'll take either one of those guys in LA. Either one of them. I can't. I won't go through.
I want to see Winston start, man. I look, maybe I have an allegiance to him because I had him in fantasy last year and he helped me win a few fantasy championships. I know he threw a lot of interceptions, but I had him in a ton of leagues and he was more often helpful for fantasy purposes, even in leagues with -2 for an interception. He just overcame it with 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and 4 touchdowns. So, yeah. And maybe now he can actually see. I'd always look and I'd be like, why is he squinting? Like all the time looking up at the scoreboard. I'm like, can this guy actually see? And then he had this LASIK surgery. So maybe that was the issue. Maybe he really couldn't see and maybe it's fixed. But I don't know. I like watching him play. I know it's frustrating. You watch some of the throws and you're like, what the hell is he looking at? But I like to see him start. I think he's fun.
I wouldn't mind it either. I really wouldn't. And you know what? When he had the LASIK surgery and I did my first incantation of the way too early rankings, I was actually really bullish on him. I was like, man, give him a second season with Bruce Arians working together. LASIK surgery. He still has all his weapons. Maybe they go and they boost the backfield a little bit. But yeah, nevertheless, not getting that opportunity. Let's move over to the running backs. Derrick Henry gets the franchise tag. Kenyon Drake gets the transition tag. But lo and behold, Melvin Gordon going from the Chargers to the Broncos. 2 years, $16 million. I mean, my first take on this is, well, you can take your shares of Royce Freeman in Dynasty and wipe your ass with them because it's done. There's nothing happening there. But Gordon Lindsay, that actually becomes a kind of an interesting tandem for me.
Yeah, I think Gordon gets the bulk of the touches. I think when you pay someone that money, and especially when you already had Lindsay there, you're probably ceding the top spot to Gordon. So I think Lindsay will still be involved, but it seems like they're not very confident in him. He had the good rookie year, but a lot of those underlying numbers weren't great, which is why I stayed away from Lindsay last year. He helped me win a championship 2 years ago that, I think after week 1, he was available on Fab and, I was able to get him and boost an already strong team. So he was a key part in helping me win a pretty important league. But, last year just wasn't the same and it just wasn't as good. So I think Gordon gets the bulk of the touches here, putting him in the RB2 range. But yeah, Lindsay and Freeman both take a hit, but I would think Lindsay is the guy that sees the touches behind Gordon.
Does he see the touches like Eckler saw in L.A.?
Probably not, man. I think because I think Gordon's going to be the goal line back, right? Mm-hmm. Gordon's still good in the passing game.
I mean, you'd like to think so. Like that's like I'm not going to say yes for sure. You'd like to think so.
Yeah, that would be my guess if I'm trying to figure this out. But I would think. Lindsay gets about 150 touches, 150 to 160 touches, something like that.
Okay. All right. So you like Gordon with Denver now? Is this an improvement for you?
I don't think it's an improvement because I think the Chargers' offense was better. And, he was with Phillip Rivers. Now he's with Drew Lock. I know Broncos did help the offensive line a little bit. I think he's like an RB2, a high RB2. So I don't think he'll be a target for me. But if I'm there in round 4 and I need a second running back because I went 1 running back, 2 receivers, I would consider him. But I don't think he's going to be a target for me.
Okay. Let's see who else moved around. Jordan Howard goes from the Eagles to the Dolphins. This one is actually kind of interesting. I thought only because Jordan Howard with the Bears and Matt Nagy taking over. Like Jordan Howard's just not a pass catcher. He's not. Nagy tried it with him. It didn't work. Then he goes to Philadelphia, which Peterson is right off of that same Andy Reid coaching tree. And he loves the pass catching backs and he loves mixing everybody in. So I thought that was kind of a crap situation. Now he comes over to Miami, and they're running that Erhardt-Perkins system that was run in New England. And, it's Patriots, ex-Patriot coaches in this. Does this make for a positive move for Jordan Howard, or at least enough that you might have interest in fantasy?
I mean, it does right now, but I think they're drafting a running back. I think they brought him in as a veteran presence, insurance policy, but they have a lot. They have, I think, 3 picks in the first round, 2 in the second. I think they're drafting a running back. But right now, if you look at what they have on the roster, yeah, he's going to get 200-plus carries because they don't really have much else. But I think they're drafting a running back, and we kind of downgrade Jordan Howard after that.
Who are they going to take? Are they going to be able to make that move for? I guess everybody's talking about DeAndre Swift as being the guy who everybody wants.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who it's going to be, but they are going to take a running back. I think they will.
Let's see. They've got him taking this mock draft. Tua at 5. Xavier McKinney at 18. And an offensive lineman at 26. So
it doesn't have to be in the first round. I mean, we know running backs.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm curious. Listen, I think they're going for a new RB, somebody to grow with Tua is probably going to be the answer there. But I'd like to say that there was hope for Jordan Howard. He helped me a couple of years ago. I'm like you. Guy helps me win a championship. I'd never go back to that well the next year. Like very, very rarely am I going to do that unless it's like an elite talent, like a Mike Trout or
right. It depends on the player. I mean, so it's not a rule, but sometimes that this player definitely overachieved and they're not going to repeat what they did the following year, and you're not going to overpay. It's like, all right, you help me win, go mess up another team this year.
Go screw somebody else up, please. Todd Gurley goes to the Falcons 1 year. He's getting like $5 million off of that. What do you think? I mean, this is a tough one for me because of the arthritic knee. I just can't get behind that.
Yeah, I mean, I was completely out on Todd Gurley last year. Very vocal about it. I was surprised people were taking him late first, early second round. I want to know part of it. And I'm not sure if there was a winner on either side. Like the pro Gurley said, oh, he's a value, you got to take him. Like, I don't think either of us won because he did have 14 total touchdowns, right? And I think he finished as RB 14. So late first, early second, he didn't return that value, but he didn't bomb either, but he wasn't good. So I don't know if anyone won, but I just didn't want any part of him. And, you have to read what teams tell you, and the Rams were lying, man. I just went back to the whole NFC Championship Super Bowl. Like, to me, that was a terrible sign. He had all this time to rest between the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. He was barely involved. And the Rams were like, yeah, we're not going to limit his touches. And then they did for most of the year. And then it felt like, oh, we're not going to make the playoffs. We have to make a push. All right, now we're going to give him all these touches. And to me, he looked fine running straight ahead. He did not look good laterally. He didn't have a lot of yards after contact. And a lot of it was the offensive line. That was something I also brought up last year. Like, their offensive line took a major hit. And I don't think people looked at that enough. So it was a combination of the offensive line taking a big hit, not being the same, and Gurley in this knee. And no one knows. I mean, he could go down in week 1. He could play the whole year. He's not someone that I really want to invest in. It is a good spot, though. I mean, Devonta Freeman's gone. Ito Smith's there. So Gurley comes in based on what they have now, and he is the guy. The question is, how many touches is he going to get? Is he, again, last year was boosted on touchdowns. He wasn't even involved in the passing game a lot. He didn't catch a lot of passes. He didn't get 1,000 yards. It's hard to rely on those touchdowns again, especially in a new offense. But I mean, he's like RB. He's a mid RB2 right now. But I don't see myself drafting him. I just don't. But of all the spots where he could have landed, this is a good spot for him.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're going to be a team that's going to go fishing for running back help in the draft as well. You definitely need to bring somebody else up in that group. Nobody else as far as like major running back free agent movement, but let me ask you this. So this will actually, it's a good segue from RB to wide receiver. I mean, let's talk Arizona for a moment here because it's on both ends. I feel like everybody's just really just doing a great job of crapping all over David Johnson. I don't hate David Johnson. He's 28 years old. If the Texans can improve that offensive line, he's a good solid pass catcher. He's gonna be that guy for Deshaun Watson. So I'm less anti David Johnson this year than I have been over the last 2 seasons. And then float at the other side, DeAndre Hopkins goes to Arizona, and after the improvements that I saw from Kyler Murray last year, I can't not get excited about DeAndre Hopkins there.
Yeah, for David Johnson, it all comes down to health. I think that's the biggest factor. Is he's had several injuries over the last couple of years, and we just don't know how healthy he is. And usually at 28 years old, as a running back in the NFL, it usually doesn't get better. But yeah, he's in a spot where Carlos Hyde's gone. We know that they're not going to give Duke Johnson a lot of touches. It's pretty clear, even after spending a 3rd-round pick for him in a trade, and they bring him in and they still didn't utilize him. I thought he was good almost every time he touched the ball. So they clearly are not enamored with Duke Johnson. So David Johnson's going to get his opportunity if he's healthy, and that's the biggest thing. And you said you like him more than in years past. Well, it's also the cheapest you're ever going to get him. He's probably going to be, my guess is, like a high RB3. No one's going to want to draft him. So he's a guy that you really need to see in training camp to see how healthy he is. As far as DeAndre Hopkins, he takes, I think it's a lateral move. He's probably not going to get the volume that he did with the Texans. But, this Arizona offense is really good. They want to run at a high pace. They want to run a lot of plays. And getting Hopkins with Murray is a big addition. I think it really helps Kyler Murray more than anyone. He's the guy that I think was already moving up my draft board, and now I can see taking him as a top 5 quarterback, which means I probably won't land him because I'm just not going to spend an early pick on a quarterback. So I think all this excitement is probably going to drive Kyler Murray out of my price range when I thought maybe at the end of last season he would be affordable. But yeah, Hopkins is a guy they needed. That was the weakness last year for Arizona. They just didn't have the red zone threat. They didn't have that go-to wide receiver. We saw flashes from Christian Kirk, but it was inconsistent. Larry Fitzgerald is older. So that's what they kind of needed in this offense, is a DeAndre Hopkins.
They needed DeAndre Hopkins. I still feel like they need a pass-catching tight end, too. Just give me a big, wide-bodied tight end for just a nice little red zone target, just in case the run isn't there. Like, you can do an RPO and just hit the stupid tight end in the end zone. Like, I don't understand.
They run that 4 wide receiver sets. That's probably why the tight end's just not a big part of that offense.
Yeah, but it was Bruce Arians. It wasn't a big factor in Bruce Arians' offense either before that. So that could be. All right, wide receivers. Let's see. AJ Green with the transition, the franchise tag. Man, AJ Green. That dude, is he ever going to stay healthy? Is he ever going to? Do you even bother drafting him? Like, it's amazing to me. Yeah, I look at the way people view AJ Green right now is kind of the way they view Josh Gordon. They're still holding on to like years past and not focusing on the fact that the dude's played like 6 games in 3 years.
I think the comparisons to Josh Gordon are a little bit off base. Now, AJ Green was someone.
Well, I'm not comparing him to Josh Gordon. I'm talking about how fantasy owners feel about him and draft him.
Yeah, but AJ Green played 16 games 2 years ago and actually had a solid year. Right?
Was it
75 receptions, 1,078 yards, and 8 touchdowns? It's a good year.
Let me look.
Yeah, he's played. He missed all last year. Then he played 9 games in 2018. 2017 is when he had
so you're going way back then. Okay.
Look, last year I was amazed at how many people were taking AJ Green in the 4th, 5th round. I drafted AJ Green in one league. It was a league where we had unlimited IR spots, and I took him in the 8th round as my 4th receiver. So I was not counting on him to be a big part of my team. That's where I'm going to take the shot and swing for the fences, because if AJ Green did return 2-3 games into the season, round 8, and he's anything what he was, I had a home run. How many picks in round 8 flopped? So that's why I did it, and we had the unlimited IR spots. Now, he didn't play for me, obviously, the whole year, and I still was the 1 seed. It didn't cost me. Round 8 is where I take the shot. But people were taking him around 4, 5, or 6. That's where I'm like, no, because now you're putting him as a key piece of your team. And we know how injury optimism works. People always think, oh, yeah, he'll be back. And you can't think like that. So that was the only league where I took him. Again, round 8, wasn't taking him in the first 7 rounds. And it really depends what I have on my roster. I haven't really thought about him yet for this year, but if he's going to go round 8, round 9, and he's healthy, sure, I would take the shot. He's still, what is he, 32 years old?
Good luck getting him in round 8 or 9 after sitting out an entire year.
I haven't seen. What is it? Have you looked at his early ADP? I haven't looked.
No, I'm not looking at football ADP in the month of March.
I'm not either. I mean, this was supposed to be opening day, man. Don't make me cry now.
Oh, no, it's so upsetting.
It really is, man. Who would have thought? Imagine a month ago, I tell you, Howard, hey, on Thursday, March 26th, we're going to be doing a live stream or a video in the afternoon on NFL free agency. You would have said, do you realize opening day is that day? Oh, yeah, you're right. Forget it. We'll do it another time. I mean, who would have thought, like, it's crazy that we are sitting here. Again, we love football, but, like, today was supposed to be baseball, man.
Yeah.
Even as a Mets fan, I was looking forward to it.
Yeah. I got nothing to say about that. I mean, really, and the worst part is, when you wake up on the West Coast and, you log on to Twitter and then everybody's just sitting there with it's supposed to be opening day. Well, no, you realize that today was supposed to be the Sweet 16. Oh man, we should have been in the NHL and the Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs right now. And I'm like, can we not? Like, is this how I want to start my day? It's not how I want to start my day.
Yeah, well, I'm guilty. I tweeted out today was a great weather day for Mets opening day. It was. I went outside. I'm like, this is nice weather because sometimes it can be real cold, especially late March. It's like 60 degrees. I'm sure there probably would have been a little wind at Citi Field, and you might have a jacket or a long sleeve shirt on. But it was sunny. It would have been a nice day for opening day. So hopefully we get it in 2 months. Cross my fingers. Well, maybe not 2.5 months.
Bubba, from your lips to God's ears, yeah. Please.
Let's hope. But for now, I guess we got football to talk about.
Yeah.
But not right. Yet.
So your Cowboys re-signed Amari Cooper for a whopping 5-year, $100 million deal. As far as player movement, though, goes, Robbie Anderson now with the Panthers. We talked about that. Emanuel Sanders to the Saints. How about my Jets falling hook, line, and sinker for the Brashad Perriman news here? Your take on those 3 wide receivers? Because I kind of feel like Anderson, Sanders, Perriman, I feel like their ADP is all going to be very similar.
Yeah, I think this is really bad for Robbie Anderson. I mean, he was basically the number 1 or close to it in the Jets offense, and he really never finished better than, a wide receiver 3. He's not the number 1 in Carolina. He's at best 3rd or 4th with a quarterback that doesn't throw deep, and that's one of the strengths of Robbie Anderson is being a vertical threat. So I think this is really bad for Robbie Anderson's fantasy value. And, to me, he's like in the 45 to 50 range of wide receivers. Really not that appealing. Emanuel Sanders, I mean, it's a good spot to go to, but he's 33 years old, and we just haven't seen that wide receiver 2 have value with the Saints. I mean, it's a lot of Michael Thomas, obviously, a lot of Adam.
But who's been the wide receiver 2 for the Saints for like the last how many years? Ted Ginn? Oh.
All right, but do you think Emanuel Sanders is going to get flooded with targets now in this offense?
No, I don't think. I think there's going to be more respect for Emanuel Sanders to pull some double coverage away from Michael Thomas, though. I think he's a more respectable guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, does it help? Yeah, but I'm not excited about it. I don't think he's a wide receiver 3. I think he's going to have some good weeks, and there'll be other weeks where he's kind of mediocre just because I think they're fixated with a lot of Thomas is going to get his double-digit targets. Kamara is going to get his targets. And Jared Cook came on last year and was really good to finish the year. So I just don't think there's a ton of targets for Sanders. I think it's a decent spot for sure, but I don't love it. Perryman, I mean, look, it's a good spot for him. I mean, they lose Anderson. And, yeah, Perryman has teased us. He's a physical specimen. He's got the speed. He really came on strong last year for Tampa Bay down the stretch. And look, he got a 1-year deal. So he's got I think a lot of people felt based on what he did last year, he was going to get paid, and he did it. So he's got another year to prove himself. And there's targets there for the Jets, right? I mean, he's going to get the targets. So I think it's actually a good spot for him.
Yeah. So rank them for me. Would you go Perriman, Anderson, Sanders?
Perryman, Sanders, Anderson. It's a terrible spot for Anderson, man. You got DJ Moore there. You got Ian Samuel. Thomas, Christian McCaffrey. It's just a bad spot for Anderson, man. Like I would have liked him so much better on Green Bay.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know why they didn't make a big push for him. That's what they need.
That would have been
Devin
right.
Not going to happen.
Couple other Danny Amendola stays with the Lions. Randall Cobb goes to the Texans. Meh. Nelson Aguilar goes to the Raiders. Meh. Right. So then let's bring it up. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it home with the tight ends, baby. Austin Hooper, he lands with the Browns. Hunter Henry stays with the franchise tag with the Chargers. Eric Ebron to the Steelers. Jimmy Graham. Do we get a resurgence for Jimmy Graham in Chicago?
No. Simple, man. I don't know what they were doing. I mean, Jimmy Graham has fallen off the last couple of years. He's just not the same. I don't know why they made this signing. Yeah, I don't want him.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that was Matt Nagy saying, I want a big tight end who can catch passes. And, somebody showed him like game film from 4 years ago. Do you like Hooper with the Browns? Do you like Ebron with the Steelers?
I don't like Hooper with the Browns, man. I just don't think there's enough volume there. With the Falcons, he was one of the primary targets. There's Beckham, there's Landry, there's Kareem Hunt, who's likely coming back. It's just so many mouths to feed there. Like, it's about volume in fantasy. We know this, right? And where is it for Hooper? So I think this is a downgrade for him. He went from, top 5 tight end to low tight end 1 for me. Ebron, yeah, I mean, I've never been a huge Ebron fan. Vance McDonald's still there, so they kind of hurt each other a little bit. So don't love that. I think the trade, though, of Hayden Hurst to Atlanta is really good for Hayden Hurst. I mean, he's going to see more snaps, run more routes, basically taking over for Hooper. So really good upgrade here for Hayden Hurst. And I'll also say I like Blake Jarwin for Dallas. I've watched him a lot. He's good, man. And especially, Randall Cobb's gone. Maybe Dallas takes a receiver in the draft. But Blake Jarwin, I think, is someone you get as a high tight end 2. That's who I want. We've seen it every year. You take that tight end 2 with talent and maybe the potential to break out. Mark Andrews was a guy like that last year for most of draft season. Towards the end, it was Darren Waller. Blake Jarwin, I think, might go tight end 15, 16 off the board, maybe later. That's a guy I want because I think Dallas became more of a little bit of a passing offense last year. And he's good, man. His yards per route run were very good. I like Blake Jarwin as a good backup tight end that might ascend to a tight end 1.
Yeah, he definitely could. I love the Hayden Hurst call as well. I think that was a great one. A couple other tight ends. Jason Witten goes to the Raiders. Darren Waller's there, so I don't even know what that move is all about, unless they just want Witten to teach Darren Waller how to be a better tight end. That's the only thing I could think of there. Tyler Eifert goes from the Bengals to the Jaguars. Gotta make that face again.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, he played 16 games last year, but come on. Like, we all know the likelihood of that occurring again. And you talk about an offense that is not very appealing right now. It's Jacksonville.
So bad. Although I still like DJ Chark. Do. Can't help it. All right, well, Any final thoughts on free agency as we've had it so far? Did I miss anybody? Did I miss any big names that we've covered?
Well, not free agency, but a trade. Stefon Diggs to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah, of course it counts. I listen. The Jets fan in me just says, "Well, here's another team whose ass we have to look up at all the time."
True.
Right? I mean,
they're the team to beat right now in the AFC East, right?
they are. Well, actually, so Vegas has the Patriots at a -105 to win the division. Plus 105 to win the division, and Buffalo's a +140.
That's not a bad bet to take now. I mean, we don't know what New England's going to do, and I know people don't want to bet against Belichick, and maybe somehow they get Cam Newton. I don't think so. I don't think that's a good fit with Belichick, but hey, you never know. I mean, I guess that's the thing is people are just so reluctant to go against New England until they actually lose a division.
Yeah, they'll be more reactive than anything else, I think. But yeah, go ahead. Stefon Diggs in Buffalo. Now it's Diggs and John Brown and Cole Beasley and Dawson Knox and Devin Singletary, and this team looks good. And they just also opened up the free agent wallets to the defense as well. My Jets suck. We're doomed.
Well, I think Diggs takes a hit here, though, going to Buffalo, because I think there's going to be less volume in the passing game. He's going from a quarterback that was pretty accurate, as much as people like to kill Kirk Cousins, to Josh Allen, who still has accuracy issues. I mean, they're going to hit on some deep plays, but also playing outdoors in the cold as opposed to indoors in Minnesota. And again, it's volume. And, this is a team that still is primarily a running team, and they got to throw to the running back, and they got John Brown and Beasley. So, but Diggs is a guy who's shown, even on 100, 110 targets, he can produce. But I don't think it's an upgrade. I think he's like a low-end wide receiver, too.
Okay, I can accept that. Still a power move for Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it helps Buffalo. It really helps Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a guy that I think you have to look at now. Top 7, top 8 quarterback, man, with the way he runs. I mean, when you look at almost all the top quarterbacks, they all run, right?
Yeah.
I mean, They all add something on the ground. It's just the quarterback that you want now. And, getting Diggs is big for Josh Allen, no doubt, and Buffalo, as you alluded to. So, yeah, it definitely helps the Buffalo offense. Diggs, from a fantasy perspective, to me, takes a little bit of a hit, though.
Right on. Any others?
I think we hit most of them, right? Yeah, I think we hit the big names.
I think we did. All right. Well, Adam and I are going to be checking in a little bit more regularly on these videos because who reads anymore? Nobody reads anymore. So
you should. You have more time on your hand. Read all the stuff. I mean, we're pumping out so much great content, man. I mean, Fantasy Baseball Draft Kit is like loaded with information.
Yeah,
we're going to play, man.
Is.
So consume all that now. I know it might have been a lot for people to read. I mean, Greg Jewett and his player profiles, those are excellent, man. And there's more coming out. So take this time, man, and dominate, because I think we're going to have a fantasy baseball season. I'm almost certain of it. So consume the information now and get ready, and then turn to football and get ready to dominate that season as well. So you have the time on your hands now, so just consume the content. There's no excuse, You have kids in your home, fine. They're going to go to sleep at some point, so read.
Sage words from a man we all love to follow. Adam Ronis, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate it. And yes, next week, let's do some more of these for sure.
Definitely.
All right. Big thanks to our illustrious producer, Matt Sells, for helping run the show. For Adam Ronis, I'm Howard Bender. This has been Fantasy Alarm, and we'll catch you next time.